So, I can't even talk. It's the first time I've talked in like 2 hours. I'm sitting at a public park in my city. I drove here with my daughter, who I'm feeding right now. But I drove here because I was having a freak out and I couldn't calm myself down. I just had to get away from everybody and like calm down. I suffer from depression, and it's a really hard thing to deal with. So today I had to go to the traffic violations place, I think it's called, because I had a speeding ticket from a camera. But I went to try to get that amount reduced, and I did, but that justice of the, I can't remember what she was called. And I'd never been to court before. I don't know how any of this happens. I've never had my own ticket like that. She was asking me, well, you're pleading guilty, why are you here? Pretty much, like, why are you seeking help for this to be reduced and stuff? And it's like, well, I'm not working right now. I am not getting my Canadian Child Benefit, which is a monthly benefit we get from the government to help low-income people pay with the cost of a child, because I just became common law and my common law partner had not done his taxes, so they pretty much said, well, we can't prove that you don't need this help because he hasn't done his taxes. So that's been cut off for a couple months now, and I just gave birth, and that ticket came on the day that I gave birth. And I explained to her, that I'm not doing well right now financially. And then she said, well, are you taking time off work? And I said, yeah, pretty much, because I needed some time off to just deal with my depression issues. But I didn't tell her that. And then she's like, well, what were you doing before? And I said, I was an accounting assistant. And she said, so you're on EI right now? I said, no, I didn't make enough hours to qualify for maternity leave, EI, employment insurance. And she was confused by that. And she's like, how long were you working? I said, on and off for about 2 years. And then she asked me why I was taking leave, and I didn't expect this at all. I had to think, like, why I was taking a leave off of work, why I couldn't work. And it's a really hard thing for me to think about. Like, really hard, and I've not been able to deal with my issues for at least 2 years. I've attempted, but it's just been so painful that, I'm not ready to deal with that kind of pain yet. I'm not ready to go back there. When I start getting depressed, it really affects stuff like your work, just everyday life. Like, I was struggling to get out of bed to go to work. Meanwhile, I used to get up at like 5:30 every morning to go work. And I never miss days, but it's turned me into a completely different person. And I don't like who I am. I don't like myself anymore. And what triggered that bad of a depression that made me take a leave from work. And work is really important to me. I've been working since I was 16. What triggered that leave was my partner's father died, and I had to talk to him about it, and that was hard because it triggered some things in me. My closest brother was murdered in 2015 by two people we don't know. We don't know who they are. We know them now, unfortunately. But they pretty much just, they stabbed him. A lot. And, when she asked me why I was taking leave, that's what my mind went back to. All these things, like why I've been taking so many leaves, and it just completely welled up inside of me, and I started crying. And I didn't realize I was gonna have to, I didn't know I was gonna be thinking about this today. I like to think about my brother. I don't like to think about the way that he died. But after I left, my mind started spiraling. I could feel it spiraling, and my partner and I, we have really bad communication skills, especially when it comes to things like fighting. But just whatever was happening, it just wouldn't stop. And then I heard him call me a name, and I got really mad about that. I don't like to be called names. I don't call him names in anger. So I kind of left him wherever we were. And then my mind just couldn't, everything kept pulsating in my brain, and I couldn't think straight. I was taking meds for my depression, but I'm not taking them anymore. I don't know how I'm gonna deal with life, really. I just keep thinking, any Native person in Canada, in the States, you probably know how difficult it is just being Native, just growing up Native. Everything's broken. Everybody's broken. And I want to be happy. I want to not struggle every day, but I have this overwhelming feeling that I'm just gonna die miserable. I'm not even gonna have a day where I'm just happy. even a couple hours at a time, and then these feelings come back. But I can't remember ever having a full day of just being happy and content, of being alive, of being me, of being where I am. I don't. There's so many things I want to do, you know? I have so many plans for myself. I have so many ideas to try to make this world better, to try to help Native people, but I can't even help myself. I don't know what to do.